I thought I'd try something a little bit different this time. I'm going to give you the lecture on Chapter 3. I have PowerPoint on one side, and on the other side I'll try to, on some of the key points, we'll see if we can actually see a database in action. So as you can see, I've got my XAMPP control panel up, and I've got both Apache and so the server's running and MySQL's running. Now the reason, two ways you can tell that is, one, they have process IDs assigned and they have ports assigned, and also the actions say stop, so they must be running. So when we get there, we'll kind of go through that. So let's look at what we're going to talk about with relational databases and MySQL. So the first half will be concepts of relational databases, and the last half will be how do we kind of use MySQL with the configuration that we've got. Let's see what we can do. So we're going to, the objective here is when we're all said and done, that you'll know how to use PHP MyAdmin to either review data or structures of tables and import and run shell scripts to create databases and stuff like that. And you'll be able to code at least simplistic select some MySQL commands: select, insert, update, and delete. By their names, you can pretty much say, what am I doing? I'm selecting information. I'm doing a query. I'm going to put data in. I'm going to update my database, and I'm going to start removing databases or records. So kind of get a rough idea. Now, the knowledge we hope to acquire out of this is you'll be able to understand the structure of a table, how tables are linked together with primary and foreign keys, the types of relationships that can happen between two different tables, way columns and tables are defined, data types, select statement, insert, delete, and update statements, and a way to create users in your database. So we're going to use in this chapter the products table. Now, if you have set up your development environment right, you should have had a script under htdocs book apps create DB that should have created all the tables necessary for what we're going to use in this class. And when we get a little bit later, we'll show you the tables. But that's, for the examples, that's what we're going to use. So we're using the products table, which has columns with topics and then rows for the different records for each one of those. So you can look at Quizlet at all the key terms. I'm not going to go through them. Now, if I've got two tables, I can have multiple different relationships to it. You can have a one-to-one relationship, so guitars to Les Paul, one-to-one. Or I can do one-to-many. In this case, you see basses pointing to Precision and Hufner. Two different types of that. And then there's also a many-to-many, which actually can be done with using kind of an intermediary table with two one-to-many conversation. So you got, now, oops, I missed foreign key. Foreign key would be what's the code in this secondary table. So you got a primary key and then a secondary key, which would be that foreign key that's in that connecting table. So the columns here, we've got product, we've got different types, but now each name, each category ID has to be given a kind of a type. As with any programming classes, you have to say how much memory and what functions can be done on the data that I'm trying to create. So that's defined by the type. In this case, it's an integer 11 characters long, digits long. If there was a, location, some other information that need to be done, it'd be there. Attributes, is there a default? In this case, there's no default, and they're not being set to null. So we're going to predefine anything. But there is a field here. So on product ID, every time I add one in, I'm going to use the auto increment field. So it says, hey, I don't have to remember what was the product ID for each of the bass guitars. Every time I add one, it's going to increment by itself. So some of the common MySQL data types: character, variable character, integer, decimal, datetime, which is both. So those are some of the basic data types. Now, how do I do a query? How do I get data from the data? That's done with the select statement. And the basic syntax for this is select. Now this asterisk tells me select everything. I'm not going to, so it's going to say all the things in the table, give it to me, and from which table. That table was from table 1, whatever the name of the table is. In this case, it's our products table. And then where is my selection criteria? So in this case, I'm looking at our table. If we kind of scroll back here a little bit, you see here's our different tables, and we say here's my category ID. I've only got 2 with category ID equal to 2. So when I do this category ID equals 2, I should only get 2 records. But this asterisk tells me, give me all the fields in that record. Now, if I wanted to only select not everything, but just some data from a row of a table, so I got to specify my columns, select column 1, comma, column 2, blah, 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 from the table, same selection. And now you're seeing here where I could actually sort the output. I can sort it by column 1 or column 2, ascending or descending. So it's not, it should be fairly straightforward. So here's an example that gets selected columns on a row. So I'm getting the product name and list price from the products table. So only 2 fields versus what you saw here where it got all 5 because I had the asterisk. I'm getting only these 2 from the products table. Now my selection criteria is that list price has got to be less than 500. And then I'm going to order my list price ascending order. So it's going to go smallest to largest. Now, sometimes it's necessary that you want data from 2 tables and put them together so the output ends up being 1 table. So to do that, here you're selecting the columns, the table. Now you've got different options here. The one that's used the most is what they call inner. And basically it's just going to say, I'm going to take table 1 and which column I'm going to do, and table 2, which column. And I've got to make sure that to specify which column in each table, I've got to be specific as to table name and the column. And it's joined with the period together. So that's taking data from table 1, column 1, and table, is it the same, and join those together. So here I've got category name, product name, and list price. So those are the 3 things I'm going to look at. From the categories table, I'm going to join to the products table. So we got 1 table, 2 tables, so categories, category ID. So when I've got the same category ID in both those tables and where the list price is greater than 100, I'm going to sort it ascendingly. So this is kind of the result you get. So you got 3 different fields from 2 different tables. So if you went back and looked at the contents of our products in the categories table, if the IDs are the same, those are the one I'm doing, because we saw that there are several other, back here we said what? There are product name, this is what I got, because this has got category 2, which is, so looking at the category, so I'm looking at category, and the list price. So it's looking at both tables, and my result table puts any data from either one of these 2 tables. Of course, the category ID has to match, and greater than 800 in there. So take a look at some of those key terms. Now, what happens if I want to put data into a table? Well, that's done with the insert. So it's insert, into tells me, and then tell me which table, and you can come up with a column list. Now, it also says I can assign it values. So in this case here, you got insert into products. So into our product tables, we're going to insert the following columns. All got 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to assign the values, one to category ID equal to 1, product type will be tele, vendor telecast will be product name, and the list price. So it has to be 1 to 1, and you notice that all the text fields are encased in quotes. So now you can also, if you had to, say you had to have an order date or a time mentioned, you can use the now function. So in this case, I'm inserting into the orders database customer ID and a time it was ordered. So I'm going to assign 1 to customer ID, and the order date's going to be the exact current date as we speak. Now, syntax for updating, if I want to update the data. Now here's like syntax is, you got to tell it, I'm going to update what table, and I'm going to say which expressions am I going to set. So basically I'm saying I want to, on certain descriptions, so selection criteria, so I'm going to update the products table when the product code equals Ludwig, and I'm going to set the product name, and this is the text string I'm going to set to. So I am going to update, I'm going to put in data into one particular field for, in this case, any product code that actually equals Ludwig. Now, if I wanted to do multiple rows, here, in this case, I didn't say, I just says update products, got the same table. I've got a set and a category equals 1. So what's this going to do? This is going to say anytime there's a category 1 ID, and we saw in our table there was probably 5 category 1s, I'm going to update the price for all of them to $2.99. So just keep that in mind. Now, delete, fairly straightforward. The syntax, I'm deleting what table, from what table, and what my selection criteria is. So in this case, from one row, I'm taking from products and where the product ID equals 1. Or if I want to do multiple rows, as I say, I could do products where list price is greater than 200. So it will search all the list prices and products, no matter which product ID it is, and remove those products. Now the question is, why would you use MySQL? Well, it's inexpensive. In this case, we got a version of MySQL in XAMPP. It cost us nothing. So it's very inexpensive, it's very fast, it's easy to use, and it's very portable, not just to different hardware platforms, different operating systems, different hardware platforms. So you can pretty much move, and luckily even though our database is, I think it's MariaDB, the commands and stuff are portable to a standard MySQL database. So they've made sure that everything kind of forwards through. So it gives us support for SQL. It supports multiple clients. It's connected, secure. Referential integrity just says, hey, I can make sure that I'm only going to reference and change what I want to change. It isn't something that I run the risk of corrupting my database by putting data in because maybe somebody was already in a record. I think prior to MySQL 5.0, they had some problems with that, and that's all been corrected. And then I can handle transaction processing. And when you think about, okay, web-based, I want to sell things on the internet, I want to make sure that I keep track of what I am doing. Now, it also runs a couple of different ways. It runs as a command line client, which we won't do in this class. But if you wanted to do it, you could go to XAMPP, MySQL, and bin, and then pretty much say, I'm going to execute the MySQL command, the username that I want to use, and this is going to lose, and -p is prompt for the password. So then it comes back and then lets you go through, and it gives you the basic here. It says MariaDB, no database. Then you got to say, I got to tell it which database I'm going to use by the use command. So it says use my guitar shop 1, and then you notice the prompt changes which database, And now you can do the following, the same select statements we did before. So one way to run the system. The second way is through a web-based client. And we'll use more of the web-based because it's just friendlier, and most of us probably don't need to play it. So the question then becomes, how do I get to this? And you notice it's, hey, my PHP or PHP my admin. You may have heard that before, but the question is, how do you get there? Well, what we want to do is, I got to go to localhost. So I've got to, go to that welcome page. So if you go to MySQL over here and go my admin, and when you do that, it's going to open up my PHP admin. And you're going to notice there's several different databases, the languages, what theme it is, what's your font sizes. Down the right-hand side, you're going to see the home page. You're going to see, empty the session data. You've got documentation. You've got more documentation. You've got navigation setup. You can refresh your navigation page. Down here, you've got different databases. Now, these are all set up. Now, the ones that are under MySQL are all the ones that MySQL uses. Now, you see the ones that says My. The ones under My are the two that we loaded when you ran that script. So if you ran this create DB script, that's what you would have gotten. Well, the question is, how did you run it? Do you remember when you did your setup? You went to, hopefully you went here, and you did the import. You type in import, go to that file name, and import that. So we'll show that in a little bit. Now, here you see the log in and the home and log out. So you got the home, log out buttons to help you clean up the data. We've just talked about how to separate, how do we log into this. So, and all of that was done via what? Your XAMPP control panel, your admin button. If you've set up your password, you got to make sure it'll prompt you for login and password. For my ease, I know it's not secure, but I've chosen not to do that. Then to log out, you can just close, empty the session, and it gets back to that set. Now you can hide this panel by hitting this arrow key up here. You can see your databases. Here you see the same databases that you saw before, except now these two are not hidden under that My database like it was. So you can change your password. So if we just go back, let's put that up here and click home. And now what you look at, you want to go to the general, you go to settings. And what am I going to do? I got all this information here. Let's go to user accounts. And we can change your password several different places. So, but either way, we can do a lot of different ways to change this. We add users, select users. So we talked a little bit about importing the script. Basically here you'd browse and you want to make sure you select the right place. In this case, the create DB. So if I look at this, under this folder, there's a create DB SQL. Now if you run this script, it'll populate all three of those. So that will create your database. Now, file to import. Go to file import, click file to choose, and then click run. In this case, it gave you the path to run. Follow the setup procedure. That'll work fine. And then what you do, you see the data under MySQL, you see, whoops, wrong one. Under My and Guitar, you see the two databases, or you see the same thing over here with the two databases listed there. Now, You want to know the structure of a particular table. Select that table. And we're not going to check. So what am I going to do? I don't want to destroy it. See, I can select what statuses we've got with it. But in this case, whoops, I want to check the structure of the table. In this case, you see different categories and several different fields. You want to browse. It tells you I've got what? Basses, guitars, basses, and drums in that table. If you go back, so it tells you a total of 3. So basically it just kind of did what? A mini query, didn't it? So that's just it. You can tell the category size. So category D, integer 11, a variable length character, a 255. Again, no defaults, set up. Now, if I wanted to, we just did the browse there. Now, if I wanted to run a query on this, you hit the SQL tab. And it comes with all the commands that we just previously saw. It says what? Select all categories from categories. And since it's only running, Guitar Shop, then that's what it is. So, and you can tell here you got the different commands. You got select all, you got select categories, the different major characters. So as far as, types of commands and stuff, all the major ones are down below. So you can kind of get the basic syntax and then just populate which ones I'm looking for. So, and then once you get that, you can then show this query again, hit the go button, and it comes back with the items. Now you can save this query. Some projects you're going to have to save the information there, so just something to keep in mind. So here's the results that it showed. Now, with any database, you want to set up security on it. Even though I haven't for this, but you can create a user with limited privileges. So, here it says and that's done with the grant command. So I'm going to grant select privileges on this field and to a particular user and its password. Here I'm granting additional limited on all tables. How's it all tables? Well, at least all fields in this privilege, because in the Guitar Shop 1, I got my meta character here asking, selecting everything, and I'm assigning to messages, user, localhost, and giving it a password. So it's allowing me to create permissions on that table. Some of the common privileges you can do with this is select, update, insert, create a table, drop a table, get rid of the table. You just be careful who you allow permissions, because if you give them universal privileges, you may end up destroying your database. Now, sometimes you're going to get an error message, and in this case, you'll see it in bright red letters that you tried to update it. Somebody didn't have permission to make a change, and they're going to get indicated that that's the case. And then they come to you, being an administrator, what the best challenge is to do. So hopefully that helps you. I think that was the last slide. So hopefully that helps you with this chapter. When you do your reflection journal, let me know if this, having seen both the PowerPoint slides and a little bit of the live computer helps. I'll appreciate your feedback. Have a nice day.